Hello, everybody. Did you ever have that uncle walk into a family reunion and sit there and go, I got these three guys walking into a bar and everybody runs for cover because a lousy joke is coming around the corner. Well, I got those other two guys. So there's three guys walk into a bar podcast. Thanks for stopping in. And we are going to have an absolutely outstanding time. First around the corner, we got RT. He's one of them head dogs over there at Pecos Operating. He is the podcast host for the Crude Truth. Welcome, RT. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day.
We have to do that because we're now in, I think, 35 different countries right now. So we got to give a shout out to our listeners. And we got coming around the corner like a real true racehorse. Not like one of them that are dying in the races over there. He's still alive. We got David Blackman. He's a Forbes contributing author. He's a Daily Caller author. He's a podcast host of The Energy Question. And he's also a podcast host on the Energy Transition International, available everywhere. All of our podcasts, mine's the Energy Newsbeat, are available everywhere. Thank you for that commercial. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. David, coming around the corner. You put out a heck of an article this morning. Silly outburst from the Green Globalists. And I mean, this is a hoot. UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez. Let's hear what you were thinking when you wrote.
Oh, yeah. Well, he makes a habit of going off on the oil and gas industry with really ridiculous hyperbolic rhetoric. This time he's accusing oil companies that invest in carbon capture and storage projects as wanting to become more efficient at burning up the earth, and he criticizing proponents of oil and gas for wanting to rely on wishful thinking and unproven technologies. This is a man, I want to remind everyone, this is a man who spends a lot of his time praising wind and solar and other renewable solutions. Now, what more wishful thinking and unproven technologies are there than wind and solar and electric vehicles? We've been told for 30 years, more than 30 years, that a new step change in battery technology is just around the corner. Billions are being spent on research, and it's just around the corner. It's going to be the miracle solution to all our energy problems. And here we are today, 30 years later, and it's still just around the corner. It's never coming. And they're still relying on lithium ion, and it's just mind-boggling to me. This is a silly man who shouldn't be in the job he's in. He's not a serious person. And how can we expect the UN to be a serious organization when it is led by a very silly man? And I'm just sick of him. So, I went off on him a little bit.
RT, what do you think? I think the WHO, not the band, the World Economic Forum and the UN and about 3 or 4 others need to be all thrown out of the United States and run out of town. But RT, what are you thinking about that?
Well, about what you just said, I haven't done enough research to really say if whether or not I want to kick the United Nations out of outside. But getting back to David's article, what a great article. One thing, and I will say this, and you got to be, I guess, politically correct these days sometimes. And I'll do my best right now. And that is, I think a lot of individuals, a lot of policymakers that make policy in energy, and more importantly, that make policy in oil and gas, have no idea and have no experience in the industry they're making policy for. You might as well call them the Hunter Bidens of the oil and gas industry.
Ooh, that's
we have some very, very smart individuals that are not officially the ones that make policy that may be able to give their 2 cents worth, but it's probably worth the whole dollar, but the policymakers only see it as 2 cents. So I want to shout out to all those individuals, and they know who they are, that are the ones that are actually fighting for the policies that are right. No, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they continue to praise alternative energy sources that are not proven. Here I am almost 40. So it's been my entire lifetime that we are supposed to be in a different, we're supposed to have flying cars by now. We're supposed to all be cleaning beautiful air. And guess what? We are, I've said it here before, we don't worry about acid rain anymore. America is one of, believe it or not, people, America is one of the cleanest places on the planet. Okay. We have giant skyscraper buildings with less smog in those major cities than anywhere else in the world. As far as large,
except in many big cities, RT, and it's not due to energy. Sorry, I had to throw that out.
There you go. So anyway, Mr. Gutierrez, hey, good for him that once again he's got somebody to talk about him. And on a total side note, Mr. Blackman, is this daily caller thing new, or with you?
Yeah, it is new. It's
okay.
Something I've been working on for a while, and I've been sending them columns for 3 or 4 months now. But we just entered into a more formal arrangement here last week, and I'm not stopping anything else I was doing, but just another platform for me to express my thoughts.
Congratulations! And I was about to feel like a terrible. We're friends, and I was about to feel like a terrible one if you've been writing on the Daily Caller here. But I was like, wait a minute, is this thing new? So congratulations on that, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you.
Hey, David, it's very cool. Also take a second, give a shout out to your new sponsor of the Energy Question. That was pretty cool news.
Yeah, we have a sponsor now. The U.S. Oil and Gas Association's coming in as a sponsor for my podcast, The Energy Question. Thrilled to death. I've been involved with USOGA, for 25 years in one way or another. I was always sure to make sure the companies I work for were members of that very effective association in Washington. And Tim Stewart, the CEO there, is a great guy and does fantastic work for the industry. So I'm really thrilled to have them coming in as a sponsor now.
Cool.
That's awesome. And please let Mr. Scott, you said Tim what?
Tim Stewart.
Tim Stewart. Let Mr. Stewart know that he has an open invitation to talk on the crude truth anytime he'd like.
I will do that. I'm sure he'll come talk with you, man. He's really good. I've interviewed him twice on my podcast. He does fantastic work. No one knows more about what's happening in DC than Tim does.
Very nice. I like it.
Sounds great. RT, what story did you have coming around the corner?
Man, I tell you what, wow, I can't even talk this morning, gentlemen.
Spit it out, Ray. Come on.
I have a case of the Bidens this morning. Oh man, I wanted to just highlight again for those out there. I have my own Substack that's called The Crude Truth. Of course, Stu has one called The Energy News Beat, and David, we all know David Blackman's with the Energy Absurdity. Anyway, my story I wanted to highlight is the fact that this administration is continuing to push even a micro war or a side war against natural gas. We've had individuals like David and Dr. Ireland from TCU been really highlighting this war against natural gas and banning natural gas stoves. Well, they're now going after the furnaces, and they're really close to banning those. And I think it's going to be an executive order. It's not even going to be regulation. And don't quote me on that. I think it's an executive order, which is terrible. Okay. I mean, it's just a pertinent era. And again, President Trump did them. Well, President Obama, President Bush, every president since I think Bush has just done more than the last president. Okay. So before anybody thinking that, US President Biden does these or just President Trump, But these
Yeah,
are
but I will point out that Biden has done more of them than those other presidents you've talked about combined.
say that again, David.
Biden has done more executive orders than the previous three presidents combined.
Wow.
Yeah.
Folks, if I may, side note, get out and vote in November 2024. That is pert near a dictatorship right there that we've
Yes, it
ever
is.
had before. And I did not know that. Please, somebody, if they want to double check what the smart David Blackman and
Yes, please double check me. I'm right about this.
But I invite you to double check him because I know he's right. Okay. So get out and vote November 2024. Okay, so that's what they're doing is they are forcing individuals a lot in the Northeast to change their furnaces pert near overnight. By 2029, they need to sell a whole different type of furnace that most people can't afford. It's basically like an AC unit getting redone, if I'm correct. Y'all know anything about that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It's
And
going to change.
retrofitting is going to leave a lot of people in the cold. More people have died from cold, and it is absolutely. I think it is legislation through regulation. I'm going to start saying legislation through executive order now, and that is something that should be voted on by Congress, and then challenged in the court. I'm sorry, that is something that's big enough that an executive order should not apply. Personal opinion.
Oh, well, that's what we're doing. I mean, that's why we're here. We're trying to give facts and then give our own opinion on those facts. I mean, we do gotta know I do believe that we got to do the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And we sit here, guys, and to our listeners, we do our best to sort the sites and the sources when we can on whatever stories we have, because I think that we've talked about it before. Journalism, it's a lost art, and I think the real journalist out of us three is David Blackman, followed by Stu, then me. Kind of like in that movie Inglourious Bastards. It's like, who speaks most Italian? Well, I know Buongiorno, so I guess that makes But so that's where I would come into this. But
I am not a journalist, by the way. I'm a writer. Anyway,
excuse me. I apologize. He is a writer.
I'm a writer. I'm not a journalist.
And I'm a game show
host.
host.
To be called that.
Yeah, I'm a game show host. So
So anyway, guys, this is just legislation through executive order is something that's dangerous, that is forcing a lot of individuals. And let's be clear, this is not going to affect the higher echelon of individuals. This is going to affect the everyday American. And with inflation the way it is, I don't see this going away anytime soon.
No, they're just going to be doing more and more of these things. It's crazy. It's what this administration is doing is incredibly destructive to our economy and our energy security. And elections matter, and we need to do better in 2024.
I'm afraid, guys, and let me have your opinion on this, but I believe that this is also going to be used in the carbon footprint digital ID that Obama is actually trying to put out. So not only is your digital money going to be tied to your carbon footprint, but if you don't install $10,000 worth of retrofit to your house, you won't get any gas.
Hey, it's not just Obama. We going back to Antonio Gutierrez.
Right.
He rolled out a very similar proposal this week for digital ID globally. And that's in addition to what was the other thing global censorship rules now on quote disinformation, that the UN would decide what constitutes disinformation and misinformation.
Hey,
and
RT,
set up a panel to censor it, just like we've done in the United States with big.
Do you have enough information yet why we need to throw the UN out of the United States? Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. I want to get back to this because, first of all, I'm beginning to wonder if Antonio Gutierrez is nothing more than, y'all remember that president that came and spoke here from Iran a few years back during the Obama administration. And he's nothing but a puppet for the Ayatollah, if I'm correct. I'm beginning to wonder if that's what Mr. Gutierrez is. And
well, I mean,
actually-
the UN's coordinating efforts with the WEF on all this. This is all orchestrated by these global organizations, and Gutierrez, yeah, he's a stooge for Klaus Schwab, basically.
Absolutely. And Kerry said that several million people need to die every year. I read that this morning. And my response on Twitter was Kerry first. I mean, if you think several million people need to die, Kerry, if you're out there throwing that rock, you first.
What let's get back to this Carbon Footprint Digital ID. I have not heard about this at all. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? I sound like an infomercial. Oh, I haven't heard of this at all. Can you tell me?
Go ahead, David.
But no, really.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a digital ID would basically be used to track all your financial transactions. You would have to have, I mean, another program they're pursuing is to install smart meters at everyone's home so the government can track your energy use. The government is installing the ability to shut down automobiles from a central location. That's part of the technology going into every new car in the United States and really globally in recent years. It's all designed to track your carbon footprint and create a social score system like the one that's been used in China for a decade now. And if your carbon footprint gets too big, they're going to penalize you. You'll lose access to societal privileges. And, I mean, this is all part of that scheme. And yeah, I guess it's a conspiracy theory, but it's real. And
What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact?
Yeah.
Well, about 6 months, 3 to 6 months here in recent years.
I'm going to say this right now. This has nothing to do with tracking your carbon footprint. And here's my conspiracy. This all has to do with tracking you. If anybody out there has never read, and I've got my copy right over here. Oh my gosh, I would go back. 1984, get out and read it. I've never read Atlas Shrugged, but I've heard that's one I guess I need to start reading. It's a
great book everyone should read. Yeah.
Get out and read those books because this is happening. And then you talk about killing vehicles, or having the ability to turn on and off a vehicle. I'm gonna embarrass the heck out of myself. I am still a fan of the 2001 movie Fast and Furious. Okay, and yes, they have just launched their 10th. I mean, pretty near James Bond now. Okay, and well, anyway,
it's got to be the most sequels for any series ever, right? I think it.
Yes, no, I do. No, I do think they just broke that record. I really do. But there's one of the movies where they talk about somebody that can control vehicles, and with a remote control from far away. And of course, I think we've seen that where people have been able to hack into a vehicle and control it. And then let's talk about that. So there's one movie. Let's go back to hence the book in 1984, the movie that came out in 1984 called Terminator. And did y'all hear about the Air Force that just got done doing a simulation where AI actually did take over? The Air Force basically did a simulation of where it sent out a drone. The drone, they then canceled that order. The drone then came back, attacked the people that canceled that order, and then still went and finished its mission. That's Terminator, y'all. Now, this was a simulation that the Air Force did. But that is so there is just crazy some of this stuff that comes out in movies that you guys are talking about, track your energy use. We're there, guys. Somebody's already done it, and that's the scary part.
For our podcast listeners, I'm holding up an F-4 Phantom that my dad flew in Vietnam. 30 years ago, they had this plane flying remotely and using it as target practice when it was about ready to be shot down. 30 years ago, guys.
My dad's business partner worked for Lockheed Martin for 40, 50 years. And he said that the technology that is in even our newest planes is 50 years behind the technology that they have. That's scary. It's a good advantage for Americans as military, okay? But as a whole, it's scary.
Right. Hey, guys, we got about 5 to 10 more minutes, and we got some great things coming around the corner for the three podcasters. We'd like to thank every one of our listeners. Please subscribe, like, share with your friends. As soon as I can get on the road, we are going to be live in bars, and we're going to really try to have some fun with this. So hang tight while we get there. David, give us.
I got a question. Question. For our listeners, I'm literally raising my hand. Yes, we do need to talk about that off air, what you just said about trying to get, try to schedule something. David Blackman, you have one of the best Twitter accounts out there. Okay. It's Energy.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Okay. You are a professional on there. So here is my, and Stu, you're on it just as much. For our listeners out there, real quick, guys, give them y'all's Twitter handles real quick.
Oh yeah, mine's at Energy Absurdity. It's nobody seems to be able to find it, but I've been actually
Stu,
adding a lot of followers here recently.
Yeah, mine's Stuart Turley 16 at at Stuart Turley 16. So
well, I want to do a shameless plug. Now, here's my question, guys. I am new to Twitter, and for those of y'all out there, mine is at truth_crude. Truth was taken already, so it's truth_crude. What is up with some of these people that are like political individuals or people that say they are, and then you got to subscribe to get their data? Is that what that is?
I don't even know.
That is a new money way to make money.
Yeah.
It's a cross between Twitter and Substack. And Substack is one of the best single ways of guaranteeing your individual channels, because Google is going to shut anybody down with free speech. They are not owned by Elon. Twitter is being shut down right now because the CEO of Twitter used to be with who? The Economic Forum, World Economic Forum.
Wow.
Charles Schwab, she was the director. So people are starting to get banned on even Twitter. You have to own your own channel. So you can make money off of Substack if you're as smart as David Blackman. If you're as good looking as RT, you can have a good one. You got to own your own channel. The only way you're going to survive on Twitter or anything else is to have a following, have subscriptions, and make money on your own channels.
And if I may, okay, I was just kind of curious about that because I'm like, I'm not going to pay to see your tweet, right? However, I'm glad you mentioned Substack, and I think for everybody out there, shameless plug for our guy David Blackman here. Please subscribe to his Substack, and the reason why is you get access to all his Forbes articles, all his Daily Caller articles. That unfortunately, if you're not a subscriber already to those deals. So I definitely recommend to everybody to definitely subscribe to David Blackman's Substack. Sure.
Actually, just one correction. There's no paywall at Daily Caller that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, there is at Forbes. And yeah, I mean, I would encourage people to subscribe at Forbes. There's a great stable of energy writers at Forbes, not just me. And they really do a fine job of covering the energy space there.
Yeah.
All right, David, what's coming around the corner for this week as we shut down here?
Oh man, I'm just blowing and going. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I also write for the Petroleum Economist, and I have a piece due there tomorrow. So I got to get going once we finish this up and writing that one.
Hey, for all of our fans, for everybody listening, we appreciate the feedback. We're going to have all of our contact information in the show notes. Send us notes, send us requests. If you are an industry thought leader to come in on our individual podcasts, we want to hear from anybody that really wants to have an energy discussion. So with that, say goodbye, guys.
Adios, folks.
Adios. Thank you, guys.